Hey guys, good morning. Oh my God, it's Tuesday. It feels like Monday because of the holiday. And of course, because right as I go live, Whitney decides to wake up and have the Zooms. So if you hear chaos and destruction in the background, that's Miss Whitney Lou. Hey Bubbles. Hey Teddy. How are you? Hey Mimi. I know. I scheduled this morning off because I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment, but it got rescheduled to this afternoon. So I was like, I unexpectedly had some time. So I was like, let me just get on live and have a little shit talk session with everybody. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Preston. How are you? Patreons, remember, this is live on YouTube, so don't be talking about Patreon stuff over here. Oh, no, Mimi, I'm sorry. I hope you feel better. Yes, I did. It was amazing. But remember, guys, from now on, all Nikki anything is going to be on the Barb's tier of Patreon. Because Spirit has been saying that all the duds just watch all the readings and everything about her so that they can compete with her. So we cannot feed them this era. We need to protect her. It's $3 a month. We will have a live every single month dedicated to Nikki. You guys have access to any content related to Nikki, but all Nicki Minaj stuff will be in Patreon from now on. If you want access to the other content, make sure that you subscribe to the proper tiers and read the descriptions, because everybody that is a Patreon will still have access to the Nikki content. But if you only want Nikki content, there is a tier for that. So the ugly stepsisters looks like clowns on their cover art for their collab Friday. Oh boy. I mean, it's just the two freaking losers trying to write off each other's clout. Hey Venus, hey Donna, hey Ronette. Just like I told everybody in my Patreon, remember the whole entire Tory Lane situation originated from the rap party that they had at Kylie's for WAP. That's what started this whole disaster. Carlos is the Wicked Witch of the West that everybody that ends up working with her watches all of their, clout, attention, whatever it is that they were getting for their career. It all goes right down the toilet after they collaborate with her. Just the same way that the Kardashians like to suck the soul out of black men, Carlos will suck the soul out of black entertainers and rappers. It's really like, you guys, a couple years from now, I guarantee you we will be comparing how the same way that like no man like escapes the Kardashian clan intact. People are going to be talking about Carlos and her collaborations and the people that aligns themselves with her in the same exact way, I guarantee you. So they kind of are, Mimi. I'm sorry. I hope you feel better. Oh, I'm glad you got to go to the beach at the Real Goddess. Hey, Sana. Hi, Lindsay. I'm just going to say hi to everybody in case I missed anybody. Ronette, Bubbles, Mimi, Donna, Venus, Preston, Teddy. I try to make sure I always acknowledge everybody. But this is the thing that's like really dumb of Megan to even want to like collaborate with Carlos right now. This is supposed to be her moment to pop back out after all the shit and give like this is the thing that Megan should have done. She should have done a song like Nicki just released that's very heartfelt. It's going to play on everybody's sympathy. that's gonna make people be like, oh my God, poor Megan, she's had the hardest time, and tried to like connect with people emotionally. Coming out bragging about, you know, your cat and using guys for money and that the guy can't get enough of you and just the same bullshit that they're always rapping about is not going to help get people back on her side, number one. And number two, why would you tie yourself to the sinking ship that is Carlos when you're trying to revive your career that's hanging on by life support? I mean, for God's sake. I mean, for Carlos, of course she wants to tie herself to Megan because that people are going to be looking to hear what Megan has to say, regardless of what kind of song it is, you know, popping back out again. But Carlos is the one that's going to benefit off of this, not Megan, if anybody benefits. And it's not going to get the reception that they think. And it's not going to convince Titanic Records to, you know, give her the budget that she wants and all of the stuff that she's been complaining that they're not doing for her. Hey, Shay's World. Hi, Kim. Hi, Ahira. So, well, honestly, I mean, it's not hard to find pictures and videos of Carlos naked on the internet anyways. So, even at that, them being butt naked in the video, Carlos already did that in a couple different videos. Remember, she was butt naked in Normani's video. She tanked that for Normani. Then she was naked in some other video that she did. I forget. It was like one of the singles off her only album that she's ever put out. So it's just like at this point, it's like that's not even going to be shocking or exciting to anybody. That's not even her body, though. LOL. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I mean, and of course, like I always say, leave it to Carlos. Everybody else is getting their BBLs removed, and she goes and gets more done. Like, she's just always behind and slow on everything. Hey, Tatiana. We're just hanging out and talking shit. We're not really doing readings or anything like that. I just had some extra time this morning because I had to reschedule some stuff. So, exactly. Nobody's heard shit from Normani since then. So it's like it doesn't help people. It really doesn't. It's just like like I said, you're tying yourself to a sinking ship. Who the freak would want to be associated with somebody whose career is like dying? That's dumb. Just call it bozos. I mean, exactly, Teddy. Which I'll tell you guys some tea I heard is that, which I was saying that they should do this with Carlos. Okay, allegedly she has songs coming with Anita and shit. It's not Carol G, it's another Latin artist. But basically, you know, they're trying to test the waters with her in the Latin market and see like, oh, like if she doesn't stick in the American market, can we push her to the Latin community? Shakira, that's the other person. It's Shakira and Anita. I just am like, I don't think that the Hispanic community would be all that excited for Carlos either. But if she's gonna do that, then she needs to fully like embrace like a reggaeton type of a sounds she can't do all that screaming shit that she does. Because, like I always say, everybody recognizes that Meek Mill screams. So does Carlos. That's all she does because she doesn't know how to freaking like change up her cadence or have any kind of flow. So all she does is scream. So, do you think that the Latin market is going to want to hear her screaming Spanish? Especially because this is the thing with Carlos. Not only can she not speak English well, but she doesn't speak Spanish well either. The girl is just completely illiterate, regardless of what language they're pushing her to speak it. And the Latin community is gonna tear her to fucking shreds over it, and I can't wait because it's gonna be hilarious. Hey, Hannah. No, she is the female Meek. Just the same way. She's a Twitter fingers just like him, too. People really need to recognize, like, she legit is the female Meek. Always bitching and complaining about something, but also acting like they're just such astute business people. I mean, that's the thing. How many times did Meek get on Twitter and type up some shit acting like he fucking knew business and nobody else did, and everybody was so goddamn stupid and he knew everything when it came to the industry, only for every time that things don't work out the way that he wants them to, for him to get back on Twitter and bitch and complain that people take advantage of artists. Start playing the victim. Him and Carlos are the same person, and they're both obsessed with Nicki. Exactly, Hannah. Well, I want, again, like I always point out for people too, is, you want to claim that your mom is Trinidadian. There's been so many freaking Trinidadian celebrations, carnival, the getting freedom, like all this stuff. Like I keep seeing people post about it. Like I've honestly, all of a sudden, like my whole feed is people posting different celebrations for Trinidad. How come Carlos never says anything? I mean, really, when you think about it, like Muslims, even if they're not like active Muslims all year long, let it be Eid, let it be Ramadan, like they're gonna post about it. I see Nigerians post about different festivals and things all the time. I'm Italian. I follow some Italians. They post about every freaking saint festival that's going on. Like, people post about stuff that's going on if that's your roots, right? Like, has never, like, she just lets people constantly run around and claim her mom is from Trinidad, but she never does anything that, like, makes it apparent that she has any connection to that place or gives a shit about it. So it's like, stop crediting her with being tranny, because she's obviously not, and she obviously doesn't care. She just uses that idea that her mom spent time there as an excuse so that she can get away with cosplaying as a black woman and saying the N-word. I want her to take a damn DNA test and post the damn results, and she can't Photoshop it. Like that check that she tried to. Remember when it said it was $1 million for that backyard party that she performed at? And the check had all the wrong dates on it and the wrong names. Like, she's just so freaking lame. Oh my God, Sana, how can you feel bad for Meek? I don't feel bad for him. I just want him to find the right lotion so that way he stops looking ashy all the time. And Carlos is an Americanized white Mexican. Her and Selena Gomez are like twins. But at least Selena Gomez has like some connection to her Mexican roots. Carlos just, I mean, she doesn't even really be talking about being Dominican either when you think about it. Like, she just only ever speaks about like growing up in New York, but it's like, but she does walk around like speaking Spanish and, all of that. It's just, I guarantee you that Danny Lay probably has more African in her than Carlos does. Her results are going to come back and look like every fucking white person in America is where they got that 2% from somewhere from 100 centuries back in the bloodline. Danny Lay probably has way more percentage than Carlos. There is a reason why certain people are friends with each other, Sana. I mean, the whole saying of birds of a feather flock together is, very true. Dude, that check was like such a freaking joke. Like, I died laughing when she was trying to post that shit. Like, it was actual receipts for something. Not to mention that it said production on it. So that doesn't even mean that you got paid the $1 million, Carlos. And usually, if you're a big enough star, production costs and stuff like that, like, is a separate thing, and the artist fee is completely different. And so, I mean, as much as it didn't look like that backyard party was that big of a deal, I guarantee you that with the lights, the stage, the sound system, paying somebody to DJ, that alone probably took 100 grand right out of the damn production budget. If there was even a $1 million check that was cut for anything anyway. And I mean, this is the thing. If you're supposedly getting paid $1 million to perform at a backyard party, then why are you and your husband doing freaking strip club appearances and hosting things like that? Literally the day after people like Jada Wada and Ari, Moneybagg Yo's girlfriends, just hosted. Shouldn't you be like so high in demand that they couldn't afford you? Like, come on. When you're hosting and at the same gigs as somebody who's only famous because they had a rapper's baby, you definitely fell the fuck off. Oh, did Selena and Taylor had a falling out? I don't keep up on the mayonnaise drama, so I missed out on that one. Well, exactly, Mimi. The Grammy awarding winning rapper, right? I don't think other than like people always trying to use her hair texture as an excuse, but again, as I've said, there's plenty of Italians and Jews out there that also have, curly kinky hair, so that's not an excuse to say that somebody is black. But I don't think like even before all the surgeries that she ever really had any real true like black looking features. She looks to me like somebody that's probably more so like mixed with like in a lot of indigenous from, whoever was in the area of the Dominican Republic, whether it was the Tainos or whoever. That's what she always looked more like to me. There's a lot of like Mexicans that have like a really high indigenous percentage to them that look very similar to Carlos to me, like that I've seen growing up. So, I don't understand all of the Olivia Rodrigo, Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter drama. Well, yeah, there's black and brown indigenous people too, but I don't think any community would want to claim her though. Oh my God. There's that one island that's like somewhat near India and Bangladesh that they said like nobody, like they've never had like interaction or been like influenced by like the outside world, and they like shoot people with bows and arrows and kill them if they get too close to the islands. Maybe those people, we could like say that Carlos is a part of them because they don't, speak any language that anybody can understand to deny her. I forget what the name of the tribe is, but like maybe we could push her off on something like that. Like find some tribe somewhere that never mixed with the rest of humanity, and they don't know who she is, and they can't communicate with the rest of us to say no, we don't claim her, and we'll just be like, that's what she is. Yes, North Sentinel Islands. That's it. That's where Carlos is from. Okay. The recap. Sabrina dated the guy Olivia liked, so she made driver's license about it, and then an album, the one that blew her up, and they went back and forth on songs. Wait, so it was like a pop beef rather than a rap beef. So this was like the white girl version of Jay-Z and Nas. We should drop Carlos off and leave her there, right? I'm sure she can assimilate with them. They do look like real ancestors. It's crazy. Whitney, Donna says hi. Can you say hi? And she's looking at me like, I'm mad at you. She's pissed at me. So, hey, Cheryl, I'm glad you made it. I don't listen to that type of music or know who those. You guys know that I barely know who anybody is, anyways. Even when they are like super popular rappers. So, like, I really don't know who the hell all these like pop and country white people are the like have white girl beef with each other. So sorry guys, Whitney's not saying hi back because she's mad at mom because every time I go outside now, she thinks that I'm going outside to go play with the kittens. So she doesn't know how she feels about all of that. And for anybody that doesn't know, we have 6 feral kittens outside left. I got a rescue to pick up one litter and the mom because all the kittens were getting sick. And then I don't know what happened to any of the other ones because at one point there was like 22 kittens over here that were all born in like a 4-week period. But there's 6 left, and so I've been feeding them, especially because one of my neighbors told me that they've been giving the kittens French fries. I'm like, please God, do not give those poor little kittens French fries. They're all like 2 and 3 months old. I'm like, they're gonna like get really sick. Like, I feed them food. Let me just give them their cat food. So but Whitney knows that something's going on every time she sees me walk out of the door with a bunch of plates of cat food, and she does not like it. Oh yes, Whitney's very possessive of me. She doesn't even want to share me with my birth child. So, like, she literally has a whole sibling rivalry with Kiddo going on. So, oh my God. No. Okay. Sana, just keep your hands to yourself, okay? Sorry about that, Hannah. That was Sana. She did it again. What would be considered spicy mayonnaise news beef? Would it be Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt? Well, I can tell you what unflavored mayo news is, and that's Kylie Jenner and Timothy Chalamet, because nobody was believing the PR relationship if they couldn't see them together. So, of course, they had to go and pretend to be all into each other at the Beyonce concert. And just like Kendall, and Bad Bunny had to pretend to make out at the Drake concert. If you pay attention, Creepy Chris is so fucking lazy with her PR shit that she makes the kids do, because they just constantly recycle the same things over and over and over again. So Hannah has to say as silencing black voices. Oh my gosh. You guys, I warned everybody in my Patreon. I'm going to warn everybody here. If you are a content creator and you do count on your income from these platforms, make sure that you have backup pages. Make sure that you have multiple platforms that are monetized, because so many black, especially, creators of color, and particularly black creators, but just a lot of creators in general, have seen their pages suddenly get demonetized. And these are people that do not post anything that's nearly as controversial as anything that I do. Like, the ones that I've seen it happening to is like perfume channels and home decor channels. Like, if you guys watch Wayna's World, she just got demonetized. And I'm like, what the hell did that girl do? All she ever does is show you how to use peel and stick tile in your bathroom and organize your closets. Like, she really doesn't be going there with some crazy stuff. So, and I guess people were saying that there's a trend to it too, that every time around this year it starts happening to people. But it's been happening a lot on YouTube and on Facebook, from what I've heard. I haven't been on Facebook in like 8 years. I got kicked off of there for telling somebody I was going to send demons to haunt them in the middle of the night. So I'm just like, whatever. I have no idea what happens on Facebook these days, but I've heard that it's also happening on Facebook. So just protect yourselves, guys, because I don't want anybody waking up and not having an income and having to stress out, okay? And make sure you guys are subscribed to my backup channel just in case, because my ass is always getting in trouble. Honestly, I'm surprised YouTube ever let me get monetized. So in Canada, it's censored now. Dude, it's been so censored. They send emails constantly. You can't talk about this anymore, and we'll limit your stuff if you talk about that. And it's like, so what the hell can we post about Shein hauls? Is that all we're allowed to do anymore? And Amazon stuff? Because that's what it seems like. So yeah, I know people were saying that like all the creators that have gotten screwed over should sue them. But I mean, I've seen people get kicked off of psychic lines where they were making $1 million a year for the company for absolutely no fucking reason, just because somebody in customer service got pissed off the last time they talked to them. So none of these platforms are ever going to be loyal to you, and you might think that you're important to them, but don't ever make that mistake. Honestly, don't ever make the mistake that unless you own your own business and you're working for yourself, that you're important to any employer. You're not. You're just another number to them. Don't ever be overly loyal to anything to the exclusion of yourself. Always make sure that you got your own shit going on and you're taking care of number one first. So, no, mayonnaise really is gross unless it's like mixed with other stuff. Like I like to make like I'll mix like mayonnaise or Greek yogurt if I have it with like hot sauce and onion powder and garlic powder and salt and pepper. And you put that on like bread when you make a chicken sandwich or like dip your fries in it. It's good, but I can't just eat mayonnaise by itself. Like it has to be mixed with hot sauce at the very least. And not a lot, you know, it's like just a normal amount to keep this bread from being dry as hell or whatever. But I seen something the other day that they were making something and it said heavy duty mayonnaise. I'm like, what the fuck is heavy duty mayonnaise? And why do you need it? Like, what the hell? Like, is it supposed to like hold your like walls together too? Like you can use it for everything? It was weird. Who's Josh? I'm like trying to read through what you guys put about. Well, you guys know I told my patrons this earlier when they very first um put out the like Renaissance tour like tickets and stuff. I told you guys that it wasn't selling out the way that they said it was. And there was blind items about it too on the blind sites that were talking about that Beyonce, especially at like the big cities like Atlanta, LA, New York, you know, some of the bigger European tour cities, that they didn't like they held back a bunch of tickets and gave them to celebrities and influencers because they wanted it to look like, ooh, look, this is the poppin' tour and you're nobody unless you're seen here and everybody and their grandma wants to be here and make people, oh my God, it's the Renaissance tour and I have to be there too. Which is hilarious to me when you think about it. Because I was just thinking about this the other day. When this album came out, how much were people dragging her and saying it sucked and that she fell off? Even people that were like, I'm not in the Beehive anymore, and I used to be a fan, and now I'm not, and this sucks, and I don't like her, and like all this shit, right? And then all of a sudden, she's got a tour coming out, and everybody and their freaking grandma like loses their damn shit and acts like they have to be there or they're gonna die. And I'm like, what happened to like, oh my God, this album sucks, but you want to go on a tour to support it? I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me because I don't care how much I like an artist. If they put out an album that's absolute garbage, I am not going to be tempted to go see them and sit through the fact that they're going to play, you know, half the show is going to be those garbage songs that I don't like. I'll catch you on the next one. So Taylor Swift, the next coming. Oh my God. Well, don't you guys notice too that every time that there's a headline that's like Taylor made $1 billion off of this tour, then they have to come out with a headline that Beyonce made 1.2 billion so far in her tour, like 2 days later. And it's just like, oh my God, first of all, y'all are already rich as hell. Like, why are we supposed to be happy for you about this? Because I like, that's the thing that like always cracks me up. Like, when people act like a celebrity being considered a billionaire is like some exciting thing that we're all supposed to be like, Oh my God, you guys, stop everything. They said that Rihanna is considered a billionaire. Let's throw a party in the street in her honor. Like, it doesn't do anything for us. And in fact, there's a whole bunch of people that had to get used and abused and neglected and ripped off along the way for that person to have such exorbitant amounts of wealth and to be considered this billionaire status now. So why are we excited about it? It's not like they're going to give us any of those billions of dollars. You made them a billionaire. Like, you should be more disappointed in yourself. Like, I gave all my money to this person so they can turn around and claim to be a billionaire when I could have left it in my bank account so that I could have been earning interest and doing something positive for me. So, yeah, and then you're a hater because you don't like celebrate the fact that some random person is a billionaire. So, exactly. Well, this is why I keep saying when people keep trying to compare Beyonce and Taylor Swift to Michael Jackson and saying that they have the same level of fame that he does, no, they freaking don't. How many times have we seen J and B at front row at different, NBA games, at football games, different sporting events, at concerts? Like, they can still go out in public. They still go out to Craig's for dinner. Taylor Swift goes walking around New York, going out to dinner with all of her friends. They don't need the United States military to protect them and have to wear disguises and still have military protection because they're literally going to create stampedes that are going to hurt other people just by their mere presence. So it's not the same at all. If Michael Jackson went to other countries, especially in Asia, they literally had to have the whole entire military out in force because people literally would stampede over each other and hurt each other trying to get to him. And like every single person in the damn country would be out in the streets trying to catch a glimpse of Michael. That does not happen to Taylor and Beyonce. Stop it. Exactly, Mimi. You hit that nail on the head. People lick the butts of rich people, but turn around and be shocked when it's revealed rich people are behind some of the worst crimes. Who else could afford to do such things? Exactly. They'll go 20 years without paying their taxes. They'll do all kinds of stuff. Look at Harvey Weinstein, like what in Epstein and all of the horrible things that they were able to do and get away with for so long because people were either being paid off or were scared to say anything. Normal people could not get away with that shit for that long. Please. CA, we can't talk about stuff like that publicly on YouTube. If you want to have that conversation in Patreon, we can, but remember, we're on live on YouTube. And if anybody wants to join Patreon, it is patreon.com/psychicbillolove. A reminder, that's where all the Nicki Minaj content will be from now on. There's a Barb's tier, or you can upgrade and have the ability to make requests and have access to all the other content where we do talk about if people get sacrificed or the Illuminati or what's really going on in the world. But we cannot talk about stuff like that on YouTube. It's just crazy to me how much people like identify with celebrities. Like the fact that people like real people really think that like they need a bunch of Birkin bags because people like Carlos and Croatia claim that they're carrying them. Like, what point of your life did you look at your fiscal situation and say, yes, I am a CNA, but I deserve to have a $50,000 purse? Like, be real. Live within your tax bracket. Stop worrying about impressing other people. Anybody that knows anything about the designer and luxury market will tell you, anyways, that it's middle class and lower middle class people who spends the most money at these designer boutiques, and usually on mid-tier and lower tier goods, like going to Hermes and buying the scarves and the sandals versus buying the Birkins and Kelly's and other bags just so that they can walk around and show off and make other middle and lower middle class people be like, wow, you must be rich. You drive a BMW and you have Hermes clothes on your back. Meanwhile, they're like hella in debt or never know when they're going to be able to retire someday. Or God forbid a medical emergency happen and then they're completely fucked because they spent all their money on designer clothes to show off to people. Like, stop it. If you're not willing to get pissed on by Diddle Bop, then nothing that Carisha does or has should have any kind of influence on you or make you think that you need to have the same life that she does. I mean, that's the craziest thing about it is like, I don't know. I mean, anytime that, like, in my generation, when I was younger, because I'm going to be 41 next month, if we ever thought, like, oh, like, I want to have something because a celebrity has it, it was accessible things like a Juicy Couture tracksuit or Uggs or like things that were still attainable and affordable, even though they were probably a little more expensive than like the stuff that we were used to buying. That's why like the MAC lipstick collaborations would always sell out, because you may not be able to afford anything else that Nicki Minaj or Rihanna has, but you can afford the same $20 tube of lipstick. But now people really think like, oh, like Mariah Carey lives in a penthouse, so I should too. And it's like, do you got Mariah Carey money? Why do you think that you need to keep up with her? Like, that's what social media has done to people, where they think like everybody is at the same fiscal place and that we should all be able to afford and do the same things. And nobody looks at their own financial situation with reality and realizes like, that's not affordable for me, number one. And number two, a lot of the shit that you see celebrities doing or that they have, it was gifted to them. You know, a lot of it is people, oh, I'm gonna send Carisha this purse because if I do, then everybody else that follows her is gonna be interested and want to know and want one. If we send Sweetie to a resort in Mexico and she posts about it, you know, then it's gonna make other people want to go there. So half the damn time they're not even paying for this shit themselves anyways, but then they want to call everybody broke. Well, exactly, Mimi. And listen, as much as I don't like Donald Trump or agree with anything that he's about, I still want to know how the hell he got away with only paying $700 in income tax when I do not make even 1% of what he does in a year. And I had to pay way more than that. That's not fair. He should definitely be paying a hell of a lot more taxes than me and you. Because I guarantee, even if you get a refund, look at your shit. You still had to give the government more than $700. They still kept more than $700 of your money, even if you still got a refund. Well, exactly, Mimi. Because when everybody started buying Louis Vuitton bags because Jessica Simpson made them popular, which again, Louis Vuitton has raised the prices and downs the quality so much over the last 20 years. But at one point, because there was so many fakes out there on top of it, and then it was such an oversaturated market, if you all of a sudden were like, I don't want this purse anymore, or I need money, and tried to sell it, people were having a really, really, really hard time offloading luxury bags, especially the ones that had been super popular. I know. I tried to sell all of mine because my ex-husband used to buy me designer bags all the time because his cousins were all super into them. So he wanted to show off. But his wife had it too. And like, I didn't get anywhere near like what he paid for those bags when I sold them. And I had to jump through hoops to prove that they were real to people that were interested in buying them because there was so many fakes on the market that everybody was super distrustful too. It's going to be the same thing with these Hermes bags. Do not listen to it. There's a bunch of other former luxury creators that are starting to come out and say, like, I got rid of a lot of my luxury stuff, things that I just felt like, oh, I had to buy because it was a trending item, and make a video about it. And they're all telling the truth that they didn't even get back half of their money. So don't fall for that shit that it's an investment. If it was an investment, how come rich white people on the Upper East Side are not investing in purses? There's articles online. I think one of them was from like In the Know or She Knows or something, that they did a whole expose on how like really wealthy people in like the Upper East Side that like come from old money families have a bag lady that they will literally go to China, find the most excellent, knockoff that you can't tell that it's not the real one, and bring them back, and they will have purse parties and sell them. And in the article, the people were saying, no, I invest my money in things that make money, like land and property and real estate and art and rare antiques. And they were like, we just buy these little cheapo bags, so we can have a new one every season and like not worry about it. So if people who literally the reason why they're on the 20th generation of wealth in their family is because of investments, and why they haven't lost all their money over time are not investing in luxury goods, that alone should tell you everything. So, and listen, I've got Aldo bags, I've had Betsy Johnson bags, Steve Madden bags that lasted way longer than any of my luxury bags. I literally had a Betsy Johnson bag that a year ago I gave to the neighbor's kid that I had since my son was a baby, and it was still in perfect condition. And I wore that shit so much over the 10 plus years that I had it by the time I gave it away. So, and I bought that purse for like $20 at Ross when I got it, and it lasted me that long. Like, just because something is expensive does not mean it's better. And I would rather buy something that I know I'm going to use for a lot of years rather than buy something hoping to God that it's going to be some sort of investment. Their shoes hurt. Whose shoes hurt? Seriously, Mimi, you just don't do it in San Francisco because the all of the places like where you can do business in person in San Francisco are all closing down, whether it's stores or just businesses or whatnot. Well, I think it's, you know what, Sana, I fashion is exactly like every other industry. Just because you're more creative and talented and unique than, other people, unfortunately, it does not mean that you're the person that's going to get hired. I mean, think about how many models out there that didn't get opportunities because they were given a Kendall Boring Jenner. Meanwhile, she gets in the magazine and complains that she had to work 20 times the entire year. So, which has to be a humongous slap in the face to the people that have been busting their ass and getting turned down constantly because she gets prioritized over them. So, it's just unfortunate. I mean, there's so many people out there that are really great rappers, but instead the industry prioritizes people that like Carisha and Carlos that you can't even understand a damn word that they're saying, whether they're speaking or rapping. Yet there's, a bazillion people out there that are even more talented than a Kendrick Lamar or a J. Cole, but because they're not a Nepo baby, their family wasn't part of some old secret society, and they're not willing to sell out, means that they're never going to get the same opportunities as somebody that the industry is like, well, you'll do whatever we tell you because it's better than having to spend the rest of your life in the strip club or on the street. And then, once everybody gets tired of you, then we hope you invested whatever little money you made properly so that you have a chance out there. It's bullshit. But that's what they like to pick. Yes, Lindsay, you just got to check the expiration dates. But by a grocery store or by a health insurance company, right, Mimi? There's a lot of different things that you could do. No, I think that people like that really are being protected. Honestly, the industry is not for everybody. And if you aren't willing to do everything that they want you to do, who was it recently? Was it Gloss Up that just said that she told, I think it was quality control, that she didn't want to be overly sexualized anymore, and that like dressing super sexy to her like didn't have any real connection to her music, and it wasn't how she wants herself to be portrayed anyways. I mean, but you see every single female artist that comes out, they all end up with their ass out. Do you think that they all willingly choose that, or do you think that their teams are like, no, you have to put the thong on and you have to learn how to twerk because that's what's going to sell and that's what people want to see. And if you don't do it, nobody's going to see your music. I am going to be watching that later because I was working literally until like 8 o'clock last night. You know me, I never know what fucking it's a holiday or not. to be prepared. Mark that day off for myself. So that's why, like, sometimes people are like, "You're working on Christmas." I'm like, did I forget, like, about holidays? Y'all know, like, I don't really give a crap about them, and I only celebrate them if my kid wants to. But so I'm gonna watch it today because I didn't want to start watching it late because I knew I would not be able to fall asleep afterwards. But also, I was really tired, and so I was like, I need to have energy, but not have to go to bed right away so that I can really absorb everything. Because I feel like I'm gonna watch it and then want to rewatch it right afterwards and catch everything I missed. Because I do that sometimes, like with Crystal Nicole's videos, because she puts so much detail into them, or like messy YouTubers when they're covering like Tori or like the whole janitor versus Kenny situation, because they throw out like a lot of legal terms and they're reading court documents and then bringing up old things. So it's like I'll listen to those videos sometimes 2 or 3 times to take notes because I always know there's something I'm going to like want to look up or missed the first time around. So I definitely am going to be watching it later though. And for anybody that was like, oh, we don't have Discovery Plus or I'm not in the UK, it's on HBO for us in America, guys, because Discovery and HBO merged with each other. But what did you guys think of the documentary? Was it fair? But look at Sana. Look at what the industry has done to Kanye and Tori for trying to cheat the system or trying to expose things or encourage other artists to, you know, not be controlled. Then they go after them and ruin them to try to control them. I mean, the only reason why Tori is locked up right now is because he went independent. He got all of his masters. He was making money on his own. His career was blowing up bigger than it ever had being independent. He told Roc Nation that he wasn't going to sign to them or be managed by them. And the biggest mistake that he made in all of that was getting online and telling other artists, hey, do what I did. Go independent. Look, I made $1 million this morning off of my single because I released it as an NFT. That is the reason why Tori is in the situation that he's in now. Kanye saying George Bush doesn't like black people, airing out Jay-Z and Beyonce and other people in the industry is 100% the reason why Harley Pasternak was threatening him and saying, you're going to go to zombie land and never have a play date with your kids again. So, you know, that's a hard road for anybody to try to navigate. I'm not strong enough to do it. I don't want to do it. Well, exactly, Mimi. That's what's hilarious about it is that they keep promoting people with little or no talent just because it's like, oh, you don't need talent. You just need to have a willingness to exploit the hell out of yourself for some change and fame. And then the label executives are like, oh my God, nobody wants to support us. It's like, well, give us some freaking good artists who can make some damn good music, and maybe you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in right now. But that's why, like, I just died laughing when that, like, story came out and it was being reposted everywhere on Instagram. And I saw somebody's comment saying, imagine that you're depressed and crying because you can't find more people to exploit. Because that's exactly what it was. Because you're going to exploit whoever the hell you put on. Ugh. It was balanced. Okay. We're going to have to look at who the production company is behind this documentary. Well, especially, Sana, when you look at what happened to both Michael and Whitney at the end of their lives, they were doing everything they could to try to bankrupt them so that they would then be forced to have to work and earn more money rather than go retire and hide from the public eye. And because Whitney had gotten tricked into re signing with Clive Davis right before she passed away, just like Michael was, on that This Is It tour. And it was really like how we were talking about Scooter Braun. He learned from the managers and the people that were behind the Whitneys and the Michaels. Try to squeeze every last penny that you can out of them because they got some issues and it might be too late otherwise. The first episode just highlighted. How many episodes are there? I didn't I knew it was on HBO, so I didn't even pull it up and save it or anything. I was just gonna pull it up later, so I didn't know it was more than one episode. I thought it was just like a 2-hour documentary type situation. Oh, you know what, Mimi? I always forget that I can even do that with a StreamYard. So, because a lot of times, I don't know why, when I use StreamYard, it stops showing the comments through the StreamYard app, and I have to only look at them through YouTube at some point. So that's also why I don't ever really use that option. I just usually only read the comments through YouTube. Their cards got declined. Now they're suffering a depression. Damn right. That's the thing that was like, God damn it, why is Megan Cuntiff in it? The consumers have always had the power, though. That's the problem that people forget. And that's why I tell people, if you really don't agree with a company or an organization or whatever, do not give them your money. Same thing, if you don't like somebody's content, don't fucking hate watch it. Don't leave negative comments because you're just helping their engagement and they're profiting from it. Like, stop going where your spirit doesn't align, because then you just put yourself in complete chaos and take yourself out of alignment with the universe. And remember, what you entertain energetically is what you invite back into your life. So if you're watching shit or listening to music or participating in things that you inherently know you don't agree with, you're just inviting that type of like negative energy back into your own life too. Technically, Kelsey got the diploma because she was doing all the homework, right? I don't even know what Alexander Bot looks like. Well, that's why a lot of the what do you call that's why a lot of they're doing that whole reality reckoning thing with Bethany right now. And she's trying to unionize the reality show people because, you know, the actors being on strike and the writers and this and that. The studio heads have basically already said that they're just going to starve them out and they're not negotiating. And that's costing, all of the that's costing all of the streamers money. It's costing Netflix money. It's costing HBO money. It's costing all of the money because if you can't put out new content, why the hell is anybody going to pay for your streaming service? Think about it. If Netflix doesn't have anything to upload for an entire year, who the hell is still going to be paying for Netflix? Nobody. So usually, and I guess like what I was hearing is that after the last major strike, that was sort of the dawn of when we started getting really reality heavy TV programming on these networks, because it was like, oh, well, we can just film and air another season of Big Brother because they're not, these are just random people. They're not a part of any union. And so then we still have content. So it's affecting all of them. But that's why you got to block out certain artists. They don't deserve those 8 cents, right, Hannah? Oh my God, Lindsay, you've never tried tahine with watermelon? It's so good. Well, listen, Sana and Mimi, Whitney still has a problem with the fact that you guys are using other cats as your profile pictures on Instagram. She said she's supposed to be everybody's favorite, and how dare you cheat on her? But we changed. Now we are SpongeBob and Patrick. Okay, I'll have to go look at that. We already talked about that earlier, Hannah, but remember, all Nikki content is in Patreon only from now on. So, like, how possessive and territorial Whitney is. She always wants to be number one. You don't gravitate towards spicy candies either. Oh my God. My favorite candies are the Mexican ones that are covered in chili, like the watermelon, the Vero brands lollipops, where the fresa, like chewy gummies that have like the chamoy and chili powder around them. Oh, dude, I can kill a bag of those, but there's so much salt in them that like my hands will swell up like somebody's old grandpa the next day. I know, and her being a Leo / Cancer cusp on top of it. You need a Whitney cat meme. Oh my gosh. They're probably not super popular, Sana, in the UK. They're at like every corner store in California because, we have a huge Mexican and El Salvadorian communities here. Although there's more El Salvadorians more like in the LA area than like the rest of California. Like it's majority Mexican, but they're like everywhere in all the candy sections, all the stores here. Even Target used to carry them for a long time, but they stopped for some reason. Don't tell the Hispanic congregation, please. I won't tell on you, Lindsay. Don't worry. I was gonna say I would send you some, Sana, but the way that shipping costs are right now, I would probably have to pay like $1,000 just to send you like 2 little bags of Mexican candy. I sent something to somebody in Canada because they couldn't get it shipped there, and it was literally like this tiny little like bottle of skincare stuff, and it cost like $200 to ship it to them. But the guy at the shipping place was like, "Oh, like this would cost $400 for you to send it to London, and if you wanted to send it to Fiji, it'd probably be like 600." I was like, "What the hell?" Like he was telling me how they have all these car parts that people get and send to like places like Fiji because I guess they can't get them there. But like they'll pay like a fortune for like the shipping. And I was just like, why is it so expensive? Like, I almost feel like I could have bought a plane ticket and stuck that shit in my pocket and personally delivered it to her for that price. So, yeah, Winnie's definitely a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, Sana. Can you guys get like Soap and Glory there? Because I think that's a UK brand. I love their stuff. Because every time I look at like the labels and stuff, it says like Ireland on it, and UK, and something about boots. Your grandpa is from El Salvador, but my mom doesn't even claim that side because she was born in Honduras. Dude, nobody in my family talks about being Ukrainian because that side of the family, we're all just like, we're Italian and like just do like, that's the side of our culture that we're connected to. So nobody ever really like, because I don't think we've ever made Ukrainian food or even talked about being Ukrainian or anything other than just the acknowledgement that there was my grandma's mom was part Ukrainian, but that was about it. So I get that. We have that though. You found a store. Okay. I was going to say that would be so weird to me if like we have it at like Target and Walgreens, but you guys don't have it, even though it's like manufactured there and a brand from there. Outside of that, everything else is just expensive AF. One thing we do have in abundance is soft tan. British girlies be looking black AF all winter. Wait, I had no idea like self tan was like a big thing in the UK. I really thought y'all just prized being pasty because there's that saying about like being an English rose and that's supposed to mean that you're like, according to whatever I've seen, it's like the celebration of being like pasty white. I thought it was like a South Korea thing where they like, stay out of the sun and try to keep their skin as light as possible. I really thought it was the same thing in the UK. I didn't know y'all were into tanning. That's so crazy. Wait, if anybody's here from other countries in the chat, is there anything like that, like where you guys are, or like what country you're from, if there's like something weird going on or whatever? I love learning all this stuff though. Are you guys still stuck on the like old Instagram eyebrows? Because I feel like that was like a big thing that the UK was still continuing to do for a while. Is it the Essex girlies saying it? Oh my God, you guys are hilarious. I've never watched Love Island. Is it good? Or is it just like The Bachelor? Because The Bachelor got really old and boring for me fast. But let me know if it's worth it. It's M to the B. Listen, I want Carlos and that girl to beef with each other because the way that she tore up, what was the girl's name in the song? Sophie? Like, oh my God. They would, like, just, I want to hear her diss Carlos so bad. If you guys don't know what song we're talking, what's the girl's name? Millie B or something? It's that one song. If you don't know me, I'm M to the B. It's like that viral like diss song from the UK. Plus Jessie Nelson said it all with her tanning. I forgot about that. Whatever happened to Jessie Nelson? I thought that song was cute that she did with Nikki. Wait, what? They'll wear shorts all year long? I thought that was just a California and Florida thing. Because people over, well, I think Florida is worse than California unless you're like in LA or San Diego, because it does get pretty cold where I am. But we definitely will. Like, I'll see people still wearing shorts in December, but usually at least January and February, people have real pants on. But I was like, isn't it just way too cold to like try to do that in the UK? Like, I mean, the reason why people do it here is because it's still 70 degrees. Uh, You know what, Mimi? I can't stand most reality shows because it's just people freaking fighting with each other, and I cannot stand that. Like, I don't know. I can't get into any of the housewives shows anymore because it's like everybody gangs up on one person all season, it seems like. And then next season is their redemption period. And then the following season, it's somebody else's turn. And it's just like, do I want to watch a bunch of women in menopause bullying each other over who did or didn't go to the Hamptons on the cast trip or whatever bullshit that they're arguing over that makes absolutely no difference to anything in the real world anyways, and it's such a waste of time. It's just so hard for me to be like, yes, this is what I want to do and watch right now with my time, that I have so little free time. That's what I want to do. Like, I just can't get into it anymore. And what do you guys think of them potentially recasting the entirety of RHOA? Oh shit, Jesse got dropped from her label. I'll have to look into that. They have their shorts and they vape. Every teenager, every kid, even the young ones, be vaping or smoking. Ugh. They wear vapes around their neck like accessories. Oh my God. Yeah, same, Mimi. Wasn't she signed to Diddy? I don't know. Was she? I thought he just showed up in the music video because of the song that they sampled. I didn't know she was signed to him. But oh wow. Um, we need to come over for a week someday. We do, Sana. Although I don't know, it sounds kind of scary. Listen, Jerry Springer and Maury Povich are like my childhood. Okay, you know what, Teddy? I did hear that I think it was Brielle, Kim's daughter, because somewhere, Kim's been out in LA with Brielle doing God knows what, but apparently spending money that they shouldn't be. And they asked Kim about like RHOA, and I guess she said something about that she started the show when she was 29 and Brielle's 26 now. We will unpack how Kim was the oldest looking 29-year-old that anybody had ever seen in a minute. But Brielle's had the idea that they should do something with the kids of the OGs. And then I was listening to, I forget who the hell it was, that they were talking about it this morning. But basically they were saying like they should at least do like a girls trip or maybe like a Jersey Shore or a Real World type of thing where they like rent a house and they all live together for a couple weeks, and it follows like the kids from the OGs, like Kim's kids and Teresa's daughters and Ramona's daughter and all of that. I thought that might be interesting. Listen, my grandpa used to religiously watch Maury Povich every night before dinner. I don't know why. It's especially if you knew my grandpa. The fact that he was watching people scream and run off the stage because the DNA test said that the baby was theirs or not theirs or whatever was like, what alien possessed my grandpa and made him interested in this? Because this is the kind of shit that like even 20 years before that, like my grandpa would have like been like, what in the hell is this? But I don't know what it was, but he really got in his Maury in his later years. Jessie is independent. She said her label wanted her to beef with her old group for clout, so she left. Well, I keep seeing people, Mimi, that are already complaining about, that the new Real Housewives of New York is boring to them and that they're like just weren't ready to be invested in a whole new cast of people, whereas other people are like, I love it. Nobody's like calling each other alcoholics and screaming you're crazy and you need mental help or any of the other wild shit that they used to do to each other. It's like, whatever you thought that you were supposed to get from a Real Housewives. Everybody's rich and doing all these fabulous things. And so it's kind of a mixed bag as far as the reactions that I've seen to them recasting New York. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know about Atlanta, especially because like the Bravo pages that I've watched had said that um it was like notoriously hard to cast for Atlanta anyways. So I don't know. I was like, it can either be a great thing or it's gonna be a mess. But when they said that they were gonna bring back Candy and Sheree and Kenya and then cast around them, that just seems so boring to me. I don't know about y'all. Candy and Sheree, I am not interested in them or anything they have going on. But if I had to pick between the two, I would pick Sheree. Because at least she's going to show up with some bozo ass dude and there's some drama attached to it. So at least there's a little bit of that interestingness with her. But Candy to me has always seemed like a really boring housewife. Same thing with Kyle from Beverly Hills. It's like you're here and you're somehow supposed to be the cornerstone of the show, but you give the least as far as being very entertaining on your own. That's just my opinion. I like Candy as a singer and a songwriter. I'm just not interested in watching her on The Housewives. I would much rather see, honestly, bring Nene back. I mean, this is the thing. There is not one other housewife on any other franchise that's as popular as Nene. Let's just be honest. Every single, if you don't believe me, go look for yourself. Every comment section on every blog has a Nene meme in there. Especially once Instagram start letting people post memes and gifs in the comments. Oh, I can't escape Nene if I wanted to. But that shows you the power behind somebody, that she's still that relevant, that we're still posting memes of her from 15 years ago in comments on things that happen today. So Andy and Bravo need to get out of their own way and bring Nene back, because if they're really like, oh my God, the show is failing and all this, bring Nene back. That's all we want. Bring Nene back. Bring Kim back. Let them go back and forth between being friends and enemies. Like, that's the most entertainment that you're going to get. Nene definitely has a meme to fit every single scenario. She really does. So, hang on, let me see what you guys said. Mayo Swift is very loved over here by most teenagers, and kids love her and wear her merch too. People think Robot is overrated. They love Billy and Ariana too. They love the pop girlies. Her and Harry Styles. They like their artists like they like their food unseasoned. Do you guys want to know why British people eat unseasoned food? So, even though they colonized the world for spices, apparently back in the day, they used to season food to cover up the taste, because obviously food would go bad very quickly given that there was no refrigeration or probably even proper ventilation in most homes anyways, so they didn't have real great ways to store food. So everything from meat to vegetables to fruits and things would go bad very quickly. So they learned how to make things like stews and different types of foods and season them to cover up those tastes. So it became a thing of status to eat the most bland food, because that meant that you had the money to have fresh food constantly. And especially if you were in a, like royal family or aristocrat or part of the aristocracy or like the really high echelons of society, then obviously you could have the peasants that worked for you go out and catch you a fresh goose and in the morning and have it for dinner that night. So it became a thing of status that you served unseasoned food, because you could prove, look at how fresh and unrotten our food is because we're so rich. That is not an excuse for eating unseasoned food till this day, though, let me tell you. Because we've had safer and better and more modern ways of preserving food for the last century. So, like, y'all could have got over that shit, but that's what I read, that's where that comes from. I don't think I would be interested in an RHOA kids version unless they are doing something with their lives, like going abroad and trying new things, but I don't think that's what people look for. Well, that's why people were saying, because you know they have those like Real Housewives girls trips now, and they'll take them to like Morocco or the Philippines or Thailand or wherever. That's why they were saying they should do one of those, but like second generation. So it's like the kids have to go like zip lining in Costa Rica and bond with each other and talk about where they are in their lives. And basically, like what the people were suggesting was, especially like, oh, if they can, what do you call, like, you know, just basically talk about like what their experience was. It's like a reality TV kid, because they were saying, you know, there's a whole new generation of kids that are being raised right now, not only on reality TV, but like the kids of family bloggers, you know, that are going to be going through the same types of things. So people are going to be interested in like, did it negatively affect your life? Do you feel like it benefited you? Like that kind of stuff. I would be interested in hearing that. Like, was it hard for you to go to school growing up because your mom was like throwing wine in some other lady's face on TV and you had to switch schools because you got bullied for it? Like, you know, or did it help you go to school or whatever? Like, I would be interested in that side of things. I don't think I would want a whole season out of it. But if it was like a girls' trip 2 week type of thing, I could be into it. I don't, who's Taylor Hill? Um, oh my God, Cops. Dude, that show is so freaking crazy. My other favorite one that like me and my grandma used to watch it all the time, because when I was finishing up high school, I was going to an adult school to finish. And so you only had to go for like 3 hours a day. And I would go like, my classes were from like 12 to 3. And so in the morning, like me and my grandma used to watch Cheaters before I would leave for school. I miss that show. That show was like so good. I was like, and now Peter Guns is on it. I gotta like look it up and see where it airs these days, because I want to see some of the Peter Guns episodes, because I just think it's hilarious that he's the host now. I never really got into Billie Eilish's music either. You wonder what happened with Nene? That's because her and Andy got into it. So then he started cutting. Like, a lot of people don't know that. They think that, like, Nene just, like, became really fucking demanding and that was it with her. There was a lot of behind the scenes stuff, you guys. Like, if you go back and look up, there's, like, some pages that have, or pages, I mean, channels that went over, like, the lawsuit that, what do you call, Nene filed against Bravo, and you'll see that like she basically like got into a disagreement with Andy about something, and then she wanted certain things, but they weren't like humongous demanding things. It was nothing that nobody else has ever asked for. And they started cutting Nene down to being a friend of, and started really messing with her to punish her on purpose. So it was very like punitive, and I do think that she does have a case against them for a lot of the stuff that happened, but it was definitely Andy and Bravo decided to punish her. I liked Shaw's of Sunset too, but it just started becoming so incredibly toxic that I had to stop watching it. Hell's Kitchen. I don't think I ever watched that one. Was that the one with Gordon Ramsay? Oh my God. Sensitive taste buds. You know what, Teddy? Sana actually said it because you said, isn't Indian cuisine a huge part of modern English food? Maybe that's their seasoning. And Sana said, unless you buy it from a certified traditional place, don't ever buy food that is supposed to come from other countries anywhere here. Listen, the Indian food in England is just like Chinese food in America. It was modified by the people that brought those cuisines over to fit white people's taste buds. So when you go to China or you go to like somebody who's very like into their own culture, Chinese person's house, they're not going to serve you orange chicken and chow mein. Like, they eat very different and have different flavor profiles and things. Like, a lot of stuff was just adapted to fit the taste of, the people that would be purchasing that stuff. And so everything that I've heard is that it's pretty much the same in England. Like, it's not exactly the most traditional of Indian food that you do find in the restaurants, and you got to be real careful where you go if it's going to be good or not. Oh my God, I remember that, Sana, your mayo pasta. Ugh. See, that's why, Tatiana, I can't watch New Jersey, because from everything that I hear from people, it's still the Melissa versus her, and Joe against Teresa stuff. And it's like, really? I haven't watched that show, like really, really watched it since I was pregnant with my son. And that was when Melissa came on and they started fighting with each other. My kid will be 13 in December. So the fact that they're still having the same arguments, it's like, that's why I can't watch this shit. It's just like, oh my God, like I can't be a part of the same fight for 15 years. At some point, you got to be over it. Nene is definitely a cultural icon. Did you guys really ever believe that Kim Zolciak was only 29 when she first started with Big Papa on the Housewives of Atlanta? I thought she was older than Nene when that show first started. And then when she tried to say that she was like 19 when she had Brielle, I was like, oh, Brielle must be older than I thought that she was. Because, like, I mean, if you would have told me that Kim was 35, I probably still wouldn't have believed you. But she definitely didn't look like no 29 or act like a 29-year-old either. Like when that show first started. Remember, you guys, that they used to get the fast food and they'd be like, it's Subway sandwich night and tomorrow is Popeyes and Wednesday we're going to get Panda Express. Do you guys remember that? And then when the girls cried because Sweetie was going with Kim when she was going to go on her tour, they were more upset about Sweetie leaving than they were their mom. That was hilarious. And Kim was trying to act like the kids couldn't live without her when she was going. They were like, yeah, bye. And they're like, no, you're taking Sweetie with you. And that's when they started losing it. Dude, early season Kim was freaking hilarious. And I just saw a clip the other day of when she was gonna perform at that strip club not strip club, the club that was in the strip mall, remember? And when Nene went and joined them on the tour bus, and she was like acting like she was really like a real pop star, and she was like, sweetie, hold on, I need to get this note. And it was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She couldn't freaking get it. And Nene's face just watching her while Kim's pretending to do vocal warm-ups like she's fucking Mariah Carey. That was hilarious. No, Nene's reactions were the best, but you guys, that's why I keep saying too, Carlos is the Kim Zolciak of rap. Like, she literally, you guys, she would never do this, but I'm not kidding you. Carlos should remake Tardy for the Party and make that her lead single off of the album, since she made everybody wait 11 years for another album. Like, she's freaking Pink Floyd or somebody important. So be a little tongue-in-cheek, like you're also in on the joke, Carlos, because that might make people like you, because they're tired of you constantly playing victim and crying. So grow a backbone and get in on the joke with the rest of us, because you'll have a good time if you do. And honestly, I mean, in the right hands, it could be a bop, okay? Like, it could totally be a little bop. She could also remake The Ring Didn't Mean a Thing. Both are extremely relevant to Carlos's life when you think about it. And also, guys, don't forget, every time that Carlos and Offcheat have something coming out, they have to act like something is wrong with their marriage. How many times have they filed for divorce because somebody had a single dropping? Last time, when they were going to put out their whole jealousy thing, of course, that's when, you know, he started accusing Carlos of supposedly cheating on him. Of course, that went nowhere, and nobody's brought it up since. So be prepared for the shenanigans. I mean, can't you imagine, Sana? And Kim up there off, completely off key. Whoa, 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 whoa. And then Carlos gets on there and starts screaming, "The ring didn't mean a thing to you, motherfucker." It would be perfect. Oh my God. Honestly, give it a couple more years. If Love and Hip Hop is still around, we'll probably see Carlos back on it again. Her and Remy can make the whole season about some artist showcase that they're gonna try to do, and Mariah Lynn gets mad at them and tries to start her own competing one across town because she's mad that she wasn't included. They Safari to backup dance. Listen, Safari will show up and pretend like he's gonna be Carlos's love interest and that he's somehow gonna get in the middle of her and Offcheat, and they're gonna break up because she's gonna end up with Safari as a storyline, because that's all Safari does is hop from franchise to franchise to pretend to be somebody's love interest. So well, listen, maybe she'll get one. Safari can write a song for her and Carlos, which that's what gets me when people want to say that Safari wrote for Nikki. How come Safari never became the next Partisan Fontaine or The Dream? If you don't even have to write a hit for yourself. But because there's plenty of singer-songwriters and just songwriters in the industry, you know, that either never put out their own music or they only do once in a while or whatever. But the majority of their career is writing for other people, like The Dream, like Sia, you know, Partisan. So wouldn't Safari have at least gotten himself a really great career working in those writers' rooms, coming up with, you know, raps for the girls and stuff? The most that we have seen that man do is a song with Chinese Kenny. Energy, energy, energy. She got energy, energy, energy. What the fuck is that? And y'all are gonna really sit here and try to convince me that he wrote for Nicki? Get the fuck out of here. Right? I mean, for God's sakes, his freestyle on the Breakfast Club made, remember the one where Iggy Azalea did a freestyle and the guy called in and told her it was trash? What was his name? John from Tennessee. He made Iggy Azalea's freestyle look like it was the best thing that ever came out in the entirety of life. But people still want to pretend like that man wrote all of Nicki's biggest hits and made her. Like, no. If he was that great, then why didn't he make any other amazing songs for anybody else? Pockets on a diet, I'm calling you Atkins. Oh my God. And that's the thing. Safari should never ever call anybody broke. Because after Nicki dumped him, he was living in hotels and Airbnbs and on Sean Kingston's couch. Sean Kingston, who's always fucking broken in the middle of some scamming ass mess in Ohm South. And well, why didn't Safari write a hit for Erica Mena? Let her redeem herself from Where Do We Go From Here? Like, he couldn't do that, right? So, I'm just saying. But it's like, Safari, I've seen him try to call other people broke and stuff, and it's like, you have to jack off on OnlyFans for old gay men so that you can make the rent. Shut up, Safari. Exactly. Like when he was trying to act like, oh, like Sean Kingston took care of me. I'm like, how the hell was Sean Kingston taking care of you? He couldn't even take care of himself at that time. That was literally the height of Sean Kingston being in the news because he was getting sued by somebody else for not making a payment or stealing jewelry or scamming somebody else somehow. Fire burn. Oh my God, I forgot about that song. Somebody call 911. Shorty fire burning on the dance floor. Whoa. I may or may not have gotten really drunk and danced a lot to that song in my past. Safari will never live down. This is Chinese water. We're in Japan. And you wore a jean vest. If you guys ever want some entertainment, go watch the Check It Out video and notice how Safari's outfit does not at all match anything else that's going on in that entire music video. Like, nobody could even give him like a black outfit to wear so he at least somewhat blended into the back. Like, there he was, just didn't match anything, not the set, not anybody else. It's just like, here's 5 seconds of Safari doing the robot across the screen, just sticking out like a sore thumb, like always. Well, exactly, Hannah. I mean, that's the thing, that there's so many people that had humongous hits that you would think, like, wow, shouldn't they be able to live forever and eat forever just off of that one single or those multiple singles that they had that did so well? But they go broke because they never made anything off of it in the first place. I love those compilations of Nicki just being totally fed up with Safari. Every time that I was like bored at school pickup last year, because I had like no reception on my phone except for like for some reason YouTube would work. So I would like sit there in the car sweating, waiting for my kid to come out of school, watching the compilations of Nikki getting annoyed by Safari and just laugh my ass off in the car. Beat It? I don't think I've ever heard that song. I'll have to listen to that. Well, that's true, Sana, that it is the contracts that they sign. So, I mean, them 360s will definitely get them. That's the thing, guys. If you are ever going to sign a contract in the music industry, you really need to freaking read it line for line. Get your own lawyers, because that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people made, is that they'll go into, you know, the whole negotiations and everything with the label, and the label will say, oh, here, we brought you a lawyer. Yeah, the lawyer that works for the label is not going to advocate for you. You need to get your own lawyer, and you need to make sure that that lawyer doesn't have any, you know, being paid off type connections to that label. Because, like, whoever the lawyer was, what is his name? Alex Weinstein or Weingarten or whatever it is, that went to court with Megan against Tory. He is so closely associated with Rock Nation. I would never hire him to be my lawyer, even if he's like an outside, you know, counsel or whatever, because you're in the label's pocket. So you're going to tell me to do whatever is going to benefit them and fuck me over. No, thank you. So you got to be real careful, because especially if they get you in one of those 360s, they're going to make sure that they copyright and trademark your name, your image, and that everything that you want to do outside of music, then obviously, because you don't know the trademarks to your own self, has to be approved by that label. That's the other way that Carlos is screwed. So she can't just go get a whole bunch of endorsements with just anybody and everybody, so that, you know, she can try to make some of her money back or have something to live off of. Because if she went to Atlantic and said, hey, guess what? Target wants to sponsor me. Atlantic said, no fucking way. She can't take that sponsorship, and she's out of that money because they didn't approve it. So then they have absolute, complete control over your life. And guess what that means? Do you think that Atlantic is going to be like, sure, Carlos, go take every sponsorship and endorsement that you can get. We're going to let you, even though you're still going to have to pay a percentage back, because then guess what happens? Now, all of a sudden, Carlos got money. Now, all of a sudden, she doesn't need Atlantic. Now, all of a sudden, she's sitting there sending her own checks to them, paying them off so she can get out of her contract. They don't want that. And it's not just Carlos. It's anybody that's under a 360 and under label control. It's just that, you know, using her as the excuse. So that's how these people get really fucked and can't make any money, and do try to have to, you know, circumvent things to make some change. But even at that, they're still subject to their label saying, okay, we're going to let that happen. So, oh, Bad was your first single on cassette. I know the album that came out at around the time that he did the Free Willy songs. That was my first Michael Jackson album, and then my dad took it and I never saw it again. Then had like a tape player that I could play it on by myself. His chorus always gets me though. He always gives a good feature. Yeah. Bad is better than Robot's entire discography, and people were criticizing the album at the time. Right? Dude, when I think about how much like good music people had in the 80s and the 90s and we didn't appreciate it, I could just go back in time and slap myself and everybody else around me and be like, appreciate it. You have no idea what the music industry is going to end up becoming. You'll never have another song like this. You're never going to be able to turn on the radio and hear 5 songs, one right after the other, that are going to be good, that you're going to want to listen the whole way through. You're going to sit through the commercials to get to the next one, and they're all going to be good, and you're going to sing along to every single one of them. That does not happen anymore. It's hard enough to find recent, like, I mean, the last 5 years, outside of choosing Nicki songs, it is almost, if you had to say that you couldn't pick, like, you had to make a playlist, but you couldn't choose any Nicki or Chris Brown songs, and it had to be from the last 5 years, and you had to pick 10 songs to put on that playlist, I guarantee you that would be really freaking hard for a lot of people. See, Sana? Like, I can't even think of anybody that I would put on there. Ugh. I know, that's the thing too. When you listen to the older songs, it's so crazy because you would think that production would be so much better on songs given all of the technology and everything that we have. But outside of a song that's produced by Kanye or Timbaland, it's really hard to find songs that even have decent production. And when you listen to like a Michael Jackson song or anything that Kanye or Timbaland put out like mid 2000s, like around 2007, 2008, when, music was really great, it's so like you will literally be like, damn, every single aspect of music today really sucks. Because there are so many songs where you can hear, especially when it does come to people like Carisha, where they're not even on beat. And it's like, but with all the like technology you guys have, you can even sync up her vocals to the background good enough. Or did y'all just not have the budget when it came to post production? So it was just like, well, good enough, whatever. They only gave us a couple $100 to polish this up, so we're not going to try that hard. Because it's just like every part of it, the songs just are not good anymore. The beat, the lyrics, the production, the rollouts, the visuals, like it's all just sloppy and cheap to me these days. I have not listened to any of Doja's songs. I will tell you that I literally purposely leave my volume turned all the way down when I'm scrolling through Instagram Reels and Shorts, and I look at like what the audio that's playing is before I will turn the sound on, because I don't want to be exposed to any of Doja's music at all. There's other songs that I'm just like, oh my God, like I don't ever want to hear that song again. Like when everybody was using the Harry Styles As It Was song and then the Miley Cyrus Flowers like attached to their reels and YouTube shorts was so annoying. So I just don't want to be exposed to anything that Doja's got going on. And if y'all want to fall for the I'm trolling bullshit, you can go ahead, but I am not. Oh my God, Teddy. I want to like rip my ears off if I ever have to hear that Harry Styles song again. Same thing with the Old Town Road and say, I could go the rest of my life with never hearing them. But I'll listen to Barbie World on repeat till I die. Like I could handle that. Yeah, Timbaland's a really good producer. I mean, he's a problematic person, but he is a really good producer. Oh my God, I hate that song so much. And I hated the way that everybody was like doing the stupid reels, and it was like 20 days until I get LASIK surgery with the song playing. And it was literally a clip of a video or a picture of them in the same exact freaking spot on their couch with their glasses on for 20 days just for them to pop up and be like, I don't have my glasses on anymore, you guys. It's like, oh my God, why? Like, are you that like, and people were eating it up. And I'm just like, this is not like good content. Like, why are people excited about this? Who cares? And the fact that you had to torture me with that song again just to find out that you were just getting LASIK surgery and like I had to watch you go through 20 days of glasses until you like, nah, it was too much. Well, that's how they trick us too, Alexandra, because because you hear 5 seconds of a song and you think that that's how the whole song is gonna sound, and it's like the little part of the song that made it onto the Instagram reel, the YouTube short, the TikTok, whatever, like sounds good, and then you go listen to the whole song and you're like, this is trash. I just wasted all my time thinking that this was going to be a song I was actually going to like. It's horrible. I'm okay. Like, it's such a catfish. Exactly, Alexandra. Have you guys ever seen that um page on Instagram called Influencers in the Wild? It's so crazy, like, because it's just people sending in clips of them seeing somebody like filming a TikTok in public. And it is really freaking hilarious that they'll be like at a public beach and somebody's sitting there trying to like dance to Coil Ray's newest song or whatever and make a TikTok to it. And it just looks so funny, like from the other perspective. And then you're just like, are you not ashamed of yourself? Like, I don't care, like, if that was gonna make me $10,000 and get me 1 million subscribers. Like, I have way too much shame to like do a choreographed dance in fucking public while somebody films me and like, everybody else around me be like, what the hell is that girl doing? Like, you guys, do you know how much secondhand embarrassment I get when I realize, like, after I do a live that I forgot to close the blinds in my dining room? And I'm just like, because both of my neighbors, like across from me, like we can all see into each other's like dining rooms from our window. And I'm like, my neighbors were probably like, what in the fuck is this girl doing? And I'm in the privacy of my own home. Like, I am not built that way. Addison is the queen. Oh my God. I saw those videos of Addison doing that. I think it was at like some restaurant in LA and somebody like videotaped her and she kept messing up and getting pissed off and having to restart it. It was funny. Um exactly, Teddy. I mean, that's the content sometimes. It's like literally like somebody's brushing their hair while it's just like whatever trending sound is going on and they'll get like 12 million views. I'm like, how did this go viral? It's literally somebody brushing their fucking hair. Like, why is this viral and why are people so into it? Do you guys like ASMR content? A lot of it creeps me out. Like when people sit there and like scratch bottles and are tapping on everything and hitting stuff against the microphone and all of that. The only ones that I like is this channel ASMR Twix, because she goes and does like all the like cool Japanese and Asian like beauty salon treatments. Whitney likes that, but she doesn't go overboard trying to be ASMR. It's just literally like, you know, I went into a spa for the day and filmed it. And like, I sit there and brush Whitney while we watch those and wind down for bed. Those are calming, but like the other ASMR stuff, like it just sends not good tingles up my spine and makes me want to jump out of my skin. It's so funny because people like, some people like ASMR and some people don't, or they like different versions or things of it. Like Lindsay likes the crunchy ASMR. I don't like that kind. I don't like people eating. Like, I don't like that. Like I said, it's the only thing that I can handle is like the massages and the facials and the getting your hair washed, like that kind of stuff. No, I don't like watching people eat and I don't like hearing it, which I know sounds crazy because I love feeding people. Like, I will literally like make food for anybody at any time. Like, I love feeding people, but it's like, here's your plate, and then I have to like not watch you eat it. Like, I'll ask you if it's good, but I don't want to sit there and like watch you eat it or listen to you eat it. See, that's how I feel, Alexandra. I can't. It's like I can feel it like in my like skeleton when you're doing that. Right, Sana? I'm like, oh, like those head spas. I have to say this too. I was talking to my friend about this because like there's so many cool products that like that they have in Asia, you know, the beauty treatments, not just like the whole like head spa thing where, you know, they like look at your scalp with like a microscope and customize all the treatments and stuff, but like the products that they use are so cool. And they have one that I think they call it like Tanzan or something, but it's like a foaming like spray shampoo that like crackles and tingles. And I was thinking like that's probably so good for curly hair actually, because you can really like get it on your scalp, but not like on the rest of your hair. Cause you know, like when you wash your hair, when you have dry hair or curly hair, like you want to wash your roots, but like not scrub your dry ends. And especially if you had like protective styles in like locks or braids, that probably make it so much easier to wash your hair. Like I wanted to find that and stuff and try it out myself. That's what I always like think, like every time I watch those, I'm like, what's that product? I start Googling stuff and being like, how do you use that? Like, I just want to try everything. Not in a like beauty community type of way where everybody always wants to try the newest blue eyeshadow that NYX put out, but just because I'm like, would that be something that would be so much easier on my life? Because I hate washing my hair, man. It's such a pain in the ass. Anything that would make that process easier, I'm all for it. Right, Sana? I mean, I think I'm way too old to like try to learn like another new language, especially like a complicated Asian language. Because as much as Syrian as I learned how to speak, I never learned how to read or write in it. That seems so intimidating to me, like learning the characters and then having to read from right to left. So I don't think that I could like survive very well in another country, to be honest with you, especially like in China or like in Japan where like the language is like kind of difficult, but it looks cool. They have so like just way cooler shit in general. I'm like, how come nobody in America ever like did this head spa thing? Like when how come none of us ever had that idea? Like it looks so cool, especially because people are always complaining about like their scalps. I mean, it seems like everybody in America has like something wrong with their fucking head and their hair. Like that probably cures a lot of things. Oh my god, Sana, you're good at languages though. It'll probably be easy for you. I need to like brush up on my Spanish though. Dude, they like get like freaking microscopes out and shit. Like with a camera and like be like looking at the scalp and they're like, oh, like they'll literally count like some of the videos I've seen, they count how many follicles like come out of like each like little thing, and pour in your head and like tell you like, oh, like you're supposed to have this many coming out. That's a sign of a healthy scalp. The girl that like I watch ASMR Twix, if you watch like the difference between her older videos and her newer videos, like, and she's even like shown, like she said that like her hair got hella thicker since she started like going and getting all of those treatments. So, oh my God, I didn't even. Where did you go to college that you got to take Arabic at? Right, Alexandra? I mean, I massage my own scalp, but I definitely want somebody else to do it for me because it feels so much better. Just like you can wash your own hair, but it feels so much better when you get it done at the salon. Somebody else is doing it. What? Say that? Oh my God. I'm trying to think. I remember being excited that you could take Italian in college, but that was like, and honestly, the only reason why I think that they even offered that was just because there is not like as many these days, but at that, one point in time, there were a lot of Italians that did live in Stockton and Linden and that Central Valley farming community area. But I think we only basically had like French, Spanish, and Italian, if I remember correctly. Oh my God. Oh, that's so cool, Alexandra, that you're learning Japanese. That seems so hard to me for some reason. I don't know why. Like Asian languages seem so hard. Like I learned like a lot of Tagalog when I was with my ex, but I think like Tagalog was easy because it's a lot of like the at least the basis for the words like comes from Spanish. So it was still like familiar enough to me. But my nail lady was trying to teach me Vietnamese before like the pandemic and shutdowns and everything. And like I felt like the dumbest person in the entire world because she teach me like a sentence and then the next time I would come back in, like she would have to reteach me how to say it again. But I loved watching the Vietnamese channel with her when she would do my nails. There's some good ass shows on there. Oh, wow. I didn't know that the idols were expected to learn all those languages. Well, and I'm just going to say this from somebody that is not so much anymore, but used to be fluent in both Italian and Spanish because I feel like I forgot most of it. But if I was around it enough, I would pick it back up. I would probably like have a way easier time learning Spanish though. But I do not think that Spanish and Italian are as alike as people claim. I think Portuguese and Italian are much more similar than Italian and Spanish are. Like people, because people always like, oh, if you can speak Spanish, Italian's no big deal. I'm like, no, Italian's way freaking harder than Spanish, especially all the damn vowels that we like to pack in the word. The way that everything has to be pronounced differently compared depending on like, is there two C's in it? Is there this? Is there that before it? It's a way harder language in my opinion. Exactly, Sana. I mean, my great grandma all the time used to be like, they're not the same. And she spoke both like perfectly fluently. And Portuguese is definitely closer to Spanish than Italian is too. You can speak Spanish and not understand Spanish. Like Carlos. Or like Carlos, you can claim you're speaking Spanish and nobody understands you also. Like when the first couple times I heard her speak Spanish, you guys, I literally was like, oh my God, my Spanish is so freaking horrible. I didn't realize it was that bad that I could only understand about 3 words that she said. And so I said it to a friend of mine who like literally like came to the United States when they were like in their teens from a Latin speaking country, and they were like, I can't understand anything that she says when she speaks Spanish either. This person's from El Salvador. So we were like, well, maybe, because we're used to more like Mexican sounding Spanish being in California, because in California, we just say like, oh, we speak Mexican Spanish, not Castilian, like the proper Spanish, and all that stuff. So I asked like a bunch of people that are like Dominican that I know of that like are from the Bronx, and they were like, we don't understand her either. She's just speaking gibberish. I thought it was just me, and I was like, oh my God, like I need to start getting listening to Rosetta Stone or something to get my Spanish back. But no, like other people who are like native speakers are like, I don't understand a damn thing she says either. So at least I don't feel bad. So, oh my God, no, you're right. That's what's so hard. And especially too, even depending on what area of Mexico people come from. Because my grandpa had this guy that he used to be I don't know what you would call like foreman or something, like when he was a farmer, because my grandpa farmed walnuts. And he had this guy that worked for him for years. His name was Benny. And he came back to the house one time to have my grandpa like write a letter for him for Social Security. And he brought his wife, and his wife is like super indigenous Mexican. I could not understand anything that she said, and neither could my grandpa. Like Benny had to translate for us into like Mexican Spanish so we could even understand, because he didn't even speak very good English himself. But no, depending on the area and the dialect, you really can be lost. But it's the same thing in Italian too. Like the way that Sicilians speak Italian is so completely different than like other Italians, especially up north, and like the slang that they use and stuff. It's very different. It is like two different languages. You know who's the hardest to understand, Sana? Scottish people. Because they have the thickest accent and they talk so fast. I always have the hardest time like trying to like understand somebody when they're speaking, they have a really strong Scottish accent. Whose old Spanish song with Ozuna? Is it Carlos? Is that one that Selena Gomez did too? It was like Selena, Ozuna, and Carlos, I think. Honestly, Sana, I would say this. I think that Spanish is the easiest language to learn outside of English. Dude, the Bizarrap song that Shakira did is so good. My favorite Shakira song is with Alejandro Sanz, La Tortura. Oh, his voice combined with hers. So good. Although honestly, like if you look up the lyrics, it'll probably remind you a lot of it will probably remind you a lot of like Krishan Rock and Bluetooth's drama. Cause she's sitting there being like, "You're a liar. I can't trust you." And he's like, "Just listen to me. Give me another chance." It's like the perfect toxic couple song. Um, Arabic and Spanish share a lot of words because of the Moorish history in Spain. You know what, Teddy? Actually, Arabic and Italian share even more of the same words. Because the Moors are Moroccans, if you guys didn't know who the Moors are. Because they had a longer, stronger occupation of Italy. Also, y'all would be surprised too how much Ethiopia and Somalia have in common with Italy because of all of the cross migration and things that have happened throughout the centuries, that they have very similar foods and words and customs, and there's a lot that we sort of traded back and forth culturally with one another. Scottish people sound so funny when they get angry. Listen, you know what's so funny is I heard a clip of Prince Baldy, Harry's useless older brother, cussing out like a paparazzi because I guess he was trying to like ride his bike with his kids or do something. I don't forget because I was driving and honestly just like it started playing and I just like started laughing my head off because it sounded so funny and so not serious. And I was just like, if a British person tried to cuss me out, I would probably just laugh because, like, I don't know why it just sounded so polite and so not serious. So when you said that about Scottish people, I was like, oh my God, I would literally die laughing. I'm so mean. I don't take anything serious, obviously. You love Jamaican and Scottish accents. It's so thick. I love Jamaican accents. I love Jamaican people, man. They're just such a vibe. Honestly, any islanders, y'all just like are the vibe. I love it. Oh, listen, I try to avoid at all costs talking about them. I literally, if you ever hear me speak about them, I just, it's like a random joke or something. Just because they're playing the parts that they're being told to play. It benefits them and they're making money off of it. If they hadn't done all this shit, honestly, nobody would ever watch a fucking Zeus or a Tubi or an Instagram post or anything about these people. So, what they remind me of? The hip hop version of Heidi and Spencer from The Hills. Remember how they leaned so hard into being the villains? For those who are old enough to remember that era, that's what they remind me of. Like, oh, we just want to be famous and we want to make money and we don't really give a fuck like how we do that. So if you want to say I'm the bad guy, I'm going to be the bad guy because it's going to pay my bills. And they just go for it. That's what they remind me of. But when everybody keeps being like, oh, she's going to be done with him. I mean, she just posted a damn thing. Oh, grow up. Me and your son love you unconditionally and this and that. And you need to be a father. She's still trying to use the kid to get him to come around. Stop getting your hopes up. They'll stop doing this shit when everybody stops giving it attention and it stops making them money. And then they have to go have their redemption era to try to get y'all reinterested in them again. It's just bullshit and shenanigans. Don't fall for it. And honestly, when everybody was like, oh my God, she's giving birth on live. Dude, I would not even. Oh, go ahead, Lindsay. I got to get off of here in the next 5 to 10 minutes, too, because I have to go to the doctor. But I was just saying, if I was pregnant, like if I had to be pregnant now with the way that social media is now, I wouldn't go on it for the entirety of the 9 or 10 months that kid was inside of me. I wouldn't look at any comments. I would not be engaging in that because I would not want to like pick up any of that negative energy and somehow let it affect my growing child inside of me. And especially when you can't even, escape like somebody like a Doja Cat. Because the other day, I love Mob's World, do not get me wrong. But the other morning, against my better judgment, because I usually wait, I get up at 4:30 in the morning, for those who don't know. I usually wait until about 7:45 when I am done with getting my child off to school and settled in before I go looking at anything on social media, just because I want the intentions and the energy for my day to be good. Last week, against my better judgment, I'm like at 6:00 in the morning. Let's see what's going on Instagram. The first thing I open it up is Millie's post, and it's that horrible picture of Doja Cat dressed up like a demon, smiling, hanging on to the back of a chair in her kitten heels. And I was like, okay, now I gotta go like start my day all over again and douse myself in holy water before we get started. Can you imagine being 9 months pregnant and like opening up and seeing stuff like that and being exposed to it? Protect your child. Protect yourself. It's just too much. Yep, the Somalian staple dish is pasta. Yep. Um Also, if you guys didn't know, there's like always been this debate, of like who invented noodles first? Was it the Chinese or Italians? It was actually Africans. It was people from North Africa, actually, if you guys didn't know. The Moors are the ones that brought the noodles with them. But have fun cooking, Lindsay. Didn't Heidi have like 80 surgeries? Oh, did you guys know like that whole situation that like happened with Heidi getting all those surgeries? Like, I didn't know, because I just remember like her being on all these magazine covers when that happened, and them making such a big deal about it because she got something like 8 procedures done in the same day. And then all these doctors were like, that is the most dangerous fucking thing in the entire world. And we can't believe that a medical professional would like allow that to happen. So it was like a huge scandal at the time. Uh, Spencer goes on Heather McDonald's Juicy Scoop podcast quite a bit, and he spills a lot of tea like about like that whole like time period. I think it was on there. It may have been on the Call Her Daddy podcast that he did, but I'm pretty sure it was on Heather McDonald's. Basically, he was saying like this doctor reached out to Heidi, and like she'd already gotten her nose job once, and I guess like when they were filming for The Hills, she got smacked in the face by something and it messed up her nose job. So she was looking to get her nose reconstructed, and that was like basically the only thing that she was going to do. And the doctor was like, oh, well, didn't you want implants too? And like he told her that he was going to do all of this stuff for free if it, if she advertised for him and was willing to be like open about like the procedures that she had done. And Spencer said the day that they went for Heidi to get the surgery, like while they're supposed to be like, having her change into the gown and marking her up and telling Spencer what the aftercare stuff is, that the doctor was like, oh, I can also give you a chin implant, and then we can do an eyebrow lift, and started like offering her all these other procedures. And Spencer's like, they already gave her a Valium so that she could calm down, before they put her under. And he's like, so she agreed to all this stuff that like nobody had ever like even discussed with her. And it was literally like, oh, we're going to take you back in 20 minutes. Did you want us to do all this extra shit while we have you on the table? And so then all of a sudden she had to like recover from all of these. And I remember somewhere like years later that she said it was like the most pain that she'd ever been in her entire life. And she thought she was going to die at one point in the recovery because literally every single part of her was healing. Heidi was so cute because Spencer's like, yeah, everybody made it out to seem like I made her do that or wanted her to do that. And he's like, I had no parts of that. He's like, I wasn't even in the back with her when they were like talking her into this. He said he was completely shocked because he was like, isn't this only supposed to take a couple hours? And they were like, oh, she wanted to get her boobs done too. And he's like, what? And then when he goes like to finally pick her up, she's bandaged from head to toe, and he's like, what the fuck happened? So I mean, that was horrible of that doctor to take advantage of her like that and just use her as a walking billboard for his services and encourage her to do things that are so not healthy. Because there's a limit to how many procedures you're supposed to have done at any given time, both because of you can only be under anesthesia for so long for elective surgeries, because then it becomes dangerous, but also because your body can only recover from so much at one time. And it does become such a risk to your like respiratory system and your heart trying to repair your body like that. But it was really sad just hearing the truth behind that situation because so many people, were dragging them over that. And then when you think about it, she was like 22. And that's what he said. He's like, she was getting offered hundreds of thousands of dollars of plastic surgery that she wouldn't be able to afford herself. And she's young. And she just was like, well, I guess I might as well do it since I have the opportunity. And she didn't have time to really think through it or plan for it. I'm sure the Kardashians do. You know what the thing that I always think about them is, and I do have to go in a minute, They must be in pain all the time because they're always recovering from something. Like the way that people act like getting surgery is just like eating a bag of M&Ms. Will never, I'll never get used to that because I'm like, no, you had to go to under anesthesia. They had to cut things out of you or add things to your body. Like that's a huge deal. And people are just like, I'm just gonna go get my second round of BBL this weekend. Like it's no big deal. And I'm like, aren't you in pain afterwards? Doesn't that hurt? Like, doesn't that impact your life in such a negative way that like because you can't do certain things? Like the people act like it's no big deal, but especially when it's the Kardashians, that every time you see them, or Carlos, they have a new face, they have a new body. It's like, how do you move? Like, especially when it's Carlos. And I just think sometimes like, girl, you really like when you are in music videos, like the WAP video or whatever, you're rolling around on the floor, kicking your legs everywhere. And we know that you're always like just coming out of some BBL that you got in Colombia or somewhere. Like, doesn't that hurt? Are you crying inside when you're doing the choreography for that video? Like, it's gotta hurt to just be you. That's gotta be painful. No, that's true. I'm just saying, if I had a root canal and 3 months later you wanted me to roll around on the floor and do some floor work dancing, I would probably be like, no, my tooth still hurts. I can't do that. Don't ask me how my teeth and my legs would somehow be connected, but like somehow the root canal would mean that I couldn't do any of that. Like I'm a baby. Like, speaking of doctors, I have to go because I have an appointment with my doctor. Gotta go get my blood work checked. Fun. So, anyways, guys, if you wanted to book your own personal private reading, you have until midnight Pacific Standard Time tomorrow to use code HOLIDAY at checkout and get an extra 55% off. I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. If you want to join us on Patreon, patreon.com/psychicbellalove. All of our Nikki content and live streams will be over there from now on. And make sure you are subscribed and you like the video on the way out. I like doing these little random hangouts when I have time. It's very rare that I have time in the middle of the morning anymore, but we did today. So I hope everybody has a good week. I hope everything that you dream and pray for comes true if it is in your best and highest good. I hope everybody is protected and that you have your energy in the right places. And if you don't, go listen to Barbie World. You cannot be in a bad mood after that. And I love y'all. Have a good one, guys. Bye.